numbering of the files you sent me could be duplicates of mine, so I can't put your case numbers on my system. Guess what? VAR codes for jurors, they overlap. Of course they do. Of course they do. They overlap. So I can't put these 2,000 and these 2,000 jurors into my jury pool because their numbers overlap. Okay, let's see. How am I going to deal with this? So now I've got 3 pools of information. How am I going to summon Brooke County's people? Because my name can't be on it, but it has to come back to me. So I did jury questionnaires in the Circuit Court of Ohio County with my name and address and all my information on it as the clerk, in the Circuit Court of Marshall County with the Marshall County Circuit Clerk's information on it, and the Circuit Clerk of Brooke County. So I have these 3 questionnaires. I have 3 pool sources of data for jury duty. So now I have to get them all printed. I had them all 3 printed, separated, their questionnaire, their summons. I know, I just went out again. I'm leaving again for time. So I had them all printed with all the clerk's information on them. When they say, do you want the information all put into one pool? It's like, no, please don't do that. Because you have to have them separate because they have to get mailed. So I had to have envelopes printed for mailing for this clerk, and myself. I had questionnaires printed for me and both of these clerks. Had to keep everything separate, put it all in, send our questionnaires out to 8,000 people. In that time frame, the attorneys and the judge came up with a 30-page questionnaire. Guess what they didn't think would be important to have on the front page of the questionnaire, so when it came back to me to match up their 30-page questionnaire with their regular questionnaire. Their name. Oh my God. It's on page 2. It's on page 2. You know, clerks should have a lot more input into a lot more areas when it affects our offices. They didn't think about that, but I have 8,000 jury questionnaires coming back to me and 8,000 30-page questionnaires coming back to me. First, do you have the staff to deal with all that? No. Do you have the space to deal with 8,000 questionnaires? That's one thing. You can slice them out and flatten them out. 8,000 30-page questionnaires that the name's on page 2. So, every one we got, you open it, flatten it out, flip it to page 2 so you can see a name. Everything has to be alphabetized on everything that comes back in, and then it has to be split into 3 counties because they have to be separate still. And you have to match up the 30-page questionnaire with the single-page questionnaire before anything can be done. Then, those attorneys want them in advance so they can do pre-strikes. They want the original questionnaire and the 30-page questionnaire. So the Supreme Court allowed me to hire 2 people for this process. 2 people. Okay. 2 more than I had. 2 more than I had. 2 people that's getting paid not out of my budget. And 2 people that will not, under any circumstance, get pulled to go when a judge calls that he forgot he wanted a clerk because he wanted to add on a case over here, or something's going on over here and he decides he wants a clerk for that after all. So I got 2 people here working on this, matching all this stuff up. I'm keeping hours and time for them, for their pay, for the Supreme Court, doing all of this. What happens when those people don't send back their 30-page questionnaire? So we scanned in all the individual questionnaires, and if we had the 30-page, we'd scan in the individual, and the 30-page would shoot with it. So then we had them all together, pinned together, attached together. Then they all had to make sure they were alphabetized. And then all 3 counties got intermixed eventually. So instead of 3 separate areas, we're down to 1 now. It's taking 2 rooms of boxes and tables everywhere. Where would you put that? Do you have 2 rooms in your office that nothing else can be done there with no interruption, that you don't have to move stuff every night? I know. So now you have space limitations you got to deal with just on jury questionnaires. So we got them all matched up that we could. Judge needed labels, of course, to reissue those 30-page questionnaires that didn't come back. But, of course, who got to mail them? Yeah. So we took care of that, mailed out those questionnaires again, and matched up what we could when it came back. So now we've got all our jurors there. Now the attorneys are reviewing everything we scanned in and sent to them with all the questionnaires. They don't want this one, they don't want this one, they don't want this one. Well, this, in the long run, guess what? They didn't want Brooke and Marshall counties in Ohio County's data. It's one pool now. It's one pool. Everything's together. You want me to separate them? Are you nuts? You know how long it took me to get them together? So, now we're coming down to jury selection. Judge is good. How many jurors can you do individual voir dire on in a morning? Individual voir dire. Okay, so I have a panel of 15 for the morning, a panel of 15 for the afternoon. Day 1, day 2, day 3, day 4, day 5, day 6. Okay, that's how many we're doing. Well, guess what? Day 3, they got done early. Brenda, I went 30 in the morning. What? I've already got letters sent out telling them they have to be here. Okay, I'll work on that. So now I have to take the afternoon panel, because that's the random selection of the next group, and bump them up to the morning as well. So that means I have to take the next day 2 panels. He wants 30 the next morning, and bump them up. So now we're making phone calls like crazy to try to get these people situated. Took me 3 days to seat this next panel of Ohio, Brooke, and Marshall County jurors. 3 days. Anybody have any idea how many jurors we went through to get our panel and 2 alternates? Out of 8,000 jurors? 18. 18. 8,000 jurors. Once the attorneys went through, I don't want this one for whatever reason, this and that, and they marked them off. This one has a family member that passed from smoking. This one's mother's on a respirator. This one's cousin died. This one's... So once they did all of that, 18 jurors, because when they got the list of 30, they went through it and started saying, well, we don't really want this one to come in, and we don't want that one to come in. You just told me to summon them all in for this morning or this afternoon, and now you're telling me you don't want them to come in? Well, that's going to take you back down to 5 jurors this afternoon. Oh no, Brenda, I need 15. Okay, Judge, I'll see what I can do on that one. 18 jurors actually appeared to get that jury panel seated, with 2 alternates. Lots and lots and lots of work.
Brenda, I have a question. How did you ever recoup the expenses of the mailings and all of that for your county and Brooke? And did you ever?
Good question. Barb's asking about the expenses for all of the mailing and everything that was done. I hope you took an accounting class, because you had to be responsible as hosting clerk for every penny. Now, the Supreme Court worked with me beautifully. Once I figured out and weighed the questionnaires going out, this is how much each questionnaire to get sent out would cost. This is the weight, and this is what it's going to cost of the mailing, the postage I have on the return envelope. So I had all of these numbers. Kathy did it too. And we had all of these dollar amounts written out of the expenses for everything. And the Supreme Court directly paid the employees, so I didn't have anything to do with that except keep track of their time. They allowed me to hire 2 people and train them on what needed done. So they just paid for them, which was wonderful. And all the other expenses, if I got it to them in advance, they worked a check in and got cut and sent to me, so I could take that to the post office to pay and let them do all the postage for everything, print it out and give me sheets and sheets and sheets of postage so I could put that onto those envelopes. And I mean, you needed an accounting class to keep track of everything. And you had to think ahead. Well, if he wants this mailing to go out on this day, you know, what all's getting in that envelope? How much is that going to weigh? I mean, you start calculating these things in your head immediately. Okay. So the amount of time that it takes, but I cannot praise the Supreme Court enough for the help they gave me with that. Because without them, my county would have been down so much funding. And you said the mailings for Brooke and Marshall County, guess what? You know who did those, right? We did them. The other counties did not do that. We did them. You knew who they got returned to, right? To me. So the other counties' duties pretty much was to give me 2,000 names. So, wait.
Did you ever get the case tried? Is it over now?
3 months, 4 days a week, Monday through Thursday, in a courtroom, Monday through Thursday, 8 to 4, in the courtroom with Judge Rack. Now, do you have a clerk you can just let go do something for 3 months? I don't. So guess who clerked it? Me. 20-some thousand exhibits. Think about everything that gets filed during trial. And were those exhibits marked or marked and admitted? Think about that. Are they going to the jury or not? You better be on your A game here, buddy, because you better know that. So, you know, that's the overwhelming amount of work that goes into these mass litigation cases. And it's not which clerk can do it, it's which judge do they want on the panel. So I was told just recently, congratulations to a Marshall County judge because he just got added onto the mass litigation panel. Guess where his trial is going to be held? 3 clerks, the entire state of West Virginia that does this e-filing for mass litigation. 3. Thank Paul Flanagan, thank Kathy Gatson. Because these were our numbers that you saw up here. Okay. But think about that when you're doing your normal, everyday stuff. Think about us when you have to pull a jury panel and you're done in a couple hours with your panel and your judge is happy and your trial's going on and one of your staff can clerk it because it'll be over by the end of the day. Think about that. Because mass litigation, it seems to be going on and on. And I don't know if we've even thought about the water problem in Charleston yet.
Yeah, get ready.
You know? And it's not going to be heard in the county in which it happens. So Paul, I hope if they flip a quarter at your heads, buddy. But water doesn't flow upstream, so I guess. So it'll be interesting. But that's mass litigation in a nutshell.
Where are you at with tobacco?
Tobacco that started in 2000 is out on a certified question at this point. We completed, it was 3 parts. We completed the part where the plaintiffs were healthy, or so they think, and they wanted free testing by the tobacco companies every year just to show if they got a smoking-related disease. They didn't have to stop smoking, but they wanted free testing paid for by the tobacco companies. No, the jury said, no, that's not going to happen. So now we're into the other part where a lot of the plaintiffs are deceased and replaced with family members to represent them in different things. Did they have a deposition done before they passed? If not, are they still in the case? Are they out of the case because they can't be questioned? I mean, so, and I believe now it is on a question in Supreme Court. And then that, we haven't even started the 3rd part yet. That's tobacco asbestos. It's actually 1 file box so far that I have. So think about that. There's a lot of mass litigation. It's growing daily. And we've only got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 or 8 mass litigations right now. 3 clerks doing them all without a massive amount of paperwork, time and energy, staffing, costs, jurors, and it's only going to get bigger. So without that e-filing, the 3 of us will be in deep trouble because I know I don't have the space. Kathy, you have the space to put thousands of boxes? You want to add?
We filed probably over $500,000 documents electronically last year in the 4 mass litigation cases that are currently pending in contact circuit court. The biggest one, of course, would be personal injury asbestos. And just as a follow-up to Brenda's story about the tobacco trial, that case initially came to Charleston last April 15th of last year. We also summoned 8,000 jurors, and I think they went through about 150 before they got the count.
But those were all jurors from Kanawha County, right?
Right. Yeah, they were all from our county. We didn't have to go to contiguous counties. But yeah, the savings in paper storage is real. It tremendously eases the burden of paper storage. What Brenda said about the boxes is probably the equivalent of what we've experienced in Kanawha County, about 200 or 300 boxes a year. And it's the convenience to the lawyers and to the judges and to our offices is great. It's work. It's just a more technical kind of work, and we still have to review the documents. We're still checking the meetings to see for accuracy and completeness, just like you would. Decisional document comes across the counter. It's just we're doing it online now. But we are proponents of electronic filing, and in mass litigation cases, yeah, it's been a tremendous savings to us.
Thank you, Kathy. Paul, you want to say anything on yours?
I would just echo what the 2 of you said, that I don't know how we could have done those without electronic filing. Takes a little while to get us speed on the process. It's really wonderful, and I look forward to hearing the e-file and everyone
you both. Thank you for what you do with the mass litigation stuff too in your counties. So we appreciate that.
Thank you.
So, thank you everyone. When you go to send us files in the future, please think about today and try to help us be organized, please, because that's if you help us be organized with what you send, we can be so much more efficient with when it gets to us to know what we have to do. And without e-filing, guess what? We'd be in a lot of trouble. And I'm probably one of the most excited clerks to get e-filing on everything. Because if it has done this for us with mass litigation, think about what it's going to do every day with everything else you have in your offices. So I think it's a way to move it on into the future. Space savings, time savings, and time savings equals staff savings. You know, if you could do the same thing in your office with a couple less people, not saying to get rid of anyone, but guess what? We're probably one of the only offices in the courthouse, I know we are, that very rarely you can raise your head and catch a breath. You think about it. You walk past the sheriff's office, they're sitting there twiddling their thumbs at their counter waiting for people to come to them. You go over to the magistrate's office, they're sitting there painting their fingernails. Do you ever see your staff do that? No. I said the only time we get any time saving is usually between Thanksgiving and Christmas because the judges don't want to send people away to prison right before Christmas. So this will make a huge difference to us. Shortage of space, time savings. Maybe we can retain our employees a little longer and have less turnover if they actually get to raise their head up and say hi to their co-workers and have a break every now and then. So e-filing's coming. Let's all get behind it. And this is a proven fact right here with mass litigation on it. So thank you all. Appreciate it.